Okay, we are now live, and we are going to be reacting to the Arizona Senate debate live. Yes, live. It'll be live the whole time. It starts in about 30 minutes, so I just wanted to start a little earlier and start talking about the debate. So when more people join, I'll start talking. Okay, we already have one viewer. That's nice. Also, please vote in the poll in the live chat. Who do you think is going to win the debate tonight? Okay, so there's my thing. I think Mark Kelly is a good debater. But the thing is, we do not know. Because he ran again. He did very well in the last debate. He did for the U.S. Senate, which was in 2020, at the special election against Martha McSally. And Martha McSally, as a lot of people know, she's such a terrible candidate, and she's just a really bad debater. Overall, she's just a, bad politician. It's Martha McSally, period, really, you could say. So Mark Kelly obviously dominated. This one, Mark Kelly, I think, is still a good debater. But I think he does have a lot of experience, too. Masters is a good debater. I feel like Masters is okay. He's not the greatest, though. He's kind of mid, I guess you could say, as a debater. But yeah. I don't know if I'm going to make people come on the stream or because I'm not really sure. Just because I might maybe for the first part, but probably not. But we will be watching the debates. Also, I did not know this, but the Libertarian is also going to be in the debate. And I don't know if that's going to affect it or not. Probably not. He's probably just going to sit there. The Libertarians, I don't think the Libertarians are too popular in Arizona, but I feel like maybe they could have potential, but probably not. They're probably not going to affect the race too much. But if they do, it's going to affect Blake Masters, because the Libertarian vote's probably going to steal votes from Blake Masters, not whatchamacallit. Sorry, not Mark Kelly. Sorry. So I've not done a stream in a while, which is weird. Last time I did a stream was a long time ago. Because I don't know. The thing about streams is I don't really like making them, because it makes my quality of videos kind of worse when I'm posting. Because I did a live stream yesterday and stuff, so I don't need to upload a new video. So I just try to stay away from live streams. But I'm going to try to do a lot of US reactions. We might do tell me guys if you want to watch the Iowa Senate debate maybe after the Arizona one. Since the Arizona one is obviously the one that we're going to be paying attention to. But here, let me just put the stream. But yeah, please do that. For the debate, I feel like I won't be talking for the majority of the time. Maybe for the majority of the time, I will just be maybe making a comment once and then. That's why I don't want to have multiple people on the stream, because I don't want, Sorry, the echoing. I had to mute now. Sorry. But, yeah. Okay, so right now, 3 votes are in. Mark Kelly has 2 votes, and Blake Masters has 1 vote so far. So let me just put it. There's something in here. I think I'm one of the only people doing a stream. Okay, now we have 3 viewers. But Blake Masters, I don't know. I don't know how Blake Masters is going to be in the debate. I don't think he's going to be terrible. That's all I know. He's going to be bad, mid, or good. He's not going to be terrible or super good. It's not going to be really polarizing for Blake Masters, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to put this in Discord channels. Okay, so click. But Please talk in the chat all you want. Please talk in the chat. I really don't care what people put in the chat. But yeah, let's see. Okay, wait, I'm gonna post this on, what should I call it? I feel like when the debate actually starts, it's gonna get a lot more views, but right now, it just started. Who is the third viewer? Viewers, please talk in the chat. Masters in the general, it's a toss-up. I feel like people are really overrating Mark Kelly because I feel like Mark Kelly has the advantage right now, and I feel like he's going to win the general, but not by 6.2. I feel like the minimum 6 is the maximum. Like 10 is not the maximum for Mark Kelly. I'm sorry, 6 is the maximum. I feel like right now Mark Kelly is going to win by 0.4%. But I'm not really sure. I feel like Masters is not. Masters is kind of a very mid person. He's not as MAGA as like a lot of other candidates, but he's just not that. I don't know. It's like his personality, and he's. And it's okay. I'm going to get this up. Mark. Everybody loves that ad of him talking about abortion, which I don't think is that great. It's kind of overrated. But the thing is about it, at the end, the kid falls off the table and they just literally keep it in. It's kind of funny. They spill water. They don't even care to cut it out. Okay, let me share my screen. Also, tell me in the comments if the audio is good, because if it's not, we're going to have some problems with the debate. But tell me if the audio is good, please. We're going to go. Okay, so abortion. Okay, we're gonna watch this ad. We'll just watch some ads before the debate starts. Okay, this is the ad. Guys, tell me.
Support common sense regulation around abortion. But Mark Kelly votes for the most extreme abortion laws in the world. We're talking no limits up until birth. Think about how crazy that is. That's more extreme than Western Europe. It's way more extreme than what Arizonans want. Look, I support a ban on very late term and partial birth abortion. And most Americans agree with that. That would just put us on par with other civilized nations. Mark Kelly, the only countries that support his no limits, extreme abortion policies are China and North Korea. I'm Blake Mass.
The thing about those countries, though, is that China forces people to get abortion, so it's kind of not a good country.
And I approve this message. TIE fighter incoming. Nice shot. That's funny.
That's a table fall. It's just just allow it. Okay, so tell me, guys, if the audio is good and if you can hear it correctly. Where can I watch the debate? I'm going to be doing a live reaction here, but it's also live on many stuff. So just search up Arizona Senate candidate debate. I'm going to be watching the Fox 10 News one personally. But, okay. Here. What should I do before it starts? I think I might have started a little too early. Okay, so let's look at Mark Kelly ads. So Blake Masters ads are a lot like that one. He's just talking straight to the camera. This one, let's watch this one.
$250,000 illegals cross this border every month. This is an invasion. We know what to do. We need to finish Trump's wall. We need 5 times more border patrol. And we need technology to lock this border down. If we don't do these things right now, we're not going to have a country. I'm Blake Masters, and I approve this message.
Okay.
President.
This is not, in my opinion, it just doesn't seem good. Arizona is a moderate state, center-right state. There are a lot of conservatives there that might like this ad, but this ad maybe an ad about immigration. That's not a bad ad. That is a good ad for the Republicans, but it's just how they are advertising it. It's just like it makes it seem really conservative. It's not like Mark Kelly, this and that. Mentioning Donald Trump's name in the state he lost might not be the best idea. It's like, it's just like mention immigration, yeah, but I don't know. This ad just doesn't does it well. It just seems weird and just not a good ad in my opinion. We'll watch this one and one more Blake Masters ad.
Hi, I'm Blake Masters. I'm running for the U.S. Senate here in Arizona. We're in Pinal County. Come over here. I want to show you something crazy. U.S. Department of the Interior, Bureau of Land Management. This sign brought to you by your federal government. You know what this says to me? It says the government gave up. They threw in the towel. This sign should be warning me about rattlesnakes, not about criminal narco-terrorist organizations. I'm Blake Masters. I approve this message, and I'm going to put a stop to this madness.
Okay, so that ad, it wasn't the worst ad. It was okay. That kind of could be a good message. Saying the government has given up on us. That's an okay ad. Not a lot to say about it though. Immigration, that's an immigration ad. That's okay. The invasion, I don't know. The invasion one's just not a good ad in my opinion. It just does not. We'll watch this one. It's a total disaster.
In August 2020, 684 people illegally crossed the border.
Okay, wait. Oh, it's loading. I'm gonna X out tabs. Okay, I'm gonna X out a lot of tabs right now. Okay. Oh,
in the U.S. sector. In August 2021, that number jumped to 17,000. Let me do the math for you. That's a 2,300% increase. That's the difference between Trump's policies, which were working, and Joe Biden's crazy open border policies. I'm Blake Masters. I'm running for U.S. Senate in Arizona, and I approve this message because we've got to stop this madness. We've got to finish the wall and secure our border now.
Okay, so if you're gonna attack your opponent, don't stop using Joe Biden's name. That's not your opponent. Your opponent is Mark Kelly. This ad is not that smart with it. It's not even mentioning Mark Kelly. I don't believe once in the ad. That's just not a good campaign strategy. If you don't mention the other person's name, it's just not good. Also, immigration is a pretty good issue for the Republicans, but I don't know, making it a center of your campaign. Like, it probably should be one of the major issues you talk about, but Mark Kelly, a lot of, and abortion too. Those are kind of two issues. Also, the angle is not the best in those ads. So Mark Kelly ads. Let's watch Mark Kelly's ads. I'm not going to try to be biased here, guys. Try to do my best. Just watch. Team Arizona. A good campaign strategy is having a lot of Hispanic ads. I don't think Mark Kelly has too much. A lot of these major ads Mark Kelly's running, or has right here, he has them in Spanish, which I think is a good idea. Appeal to the Hispanic vote.
I'm the mayor of Mesa and a Republican. The last few years have been tough on our local businesses, and our community needed help. That's when I heard from Mark Kelly. We may be from different political parties, but that doesn't matter for Mark. For him, we're all on Team Arizona. That's who Mark is.
Oh, let's keep freezing. I'm just gonna
He
exit a lot of
secured
stuff.
critical funding to help save our small businesses. Mark doesn't look for ways to blame Democrats or Republicans. He looks for a way forward.
I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
Okay, that's an okay ad. It's just a good ad. Nothing too special about it though at the same time.
We've been in the HVAC business for 70 years. But when COVID hit, that was almost the end for us. We applied for financial relief, but
Okay, so Team Arizona ad, good standard ad. It's not going to swing too much voters to his side, but it's okay. Nothing too special about it though.
But when COVID hit, that was almost the end for us. We applied for financial relief, but we were denied. That's when I reached out to Mark Kelly. As a Republican, I didn't vote for him last time, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But his office jumped in and cut through the red tape, and we're still standing. Small business owners like me can count on Mark to do what's right and look out for all Arizonans.
I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
I'm seeing a trend. In these ads. That ad was pretty.
It's nearly
It's not the. A lot of these ads so far are just standard ads. Nothing too great, nothing too bad at the same time.
impossible to bring both parties together in Washington today. But when it came to delivering critical infrastructure upgrades for Arizona,
Okay, 4 viewers now.
that's exactly what I did. We're going to widen I-10 to make commuting easier, upgrade our ports of entry to increase trade, and improve border
Okay, that's a good move. He's talking about improving border security.
security. And we'll make sure our water supply keeps up with our growth. These aren't Democratic priorities or Republican priorities. They're Arizona priorities, and we're getting them done. I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
This, in my opinion, is the best Mark Kelly ad because I feel like this one is above standard, but it is still a standard-ish ad, I guess you could say. Hello, the political chatter is in the chat. Woo woo. Hello. It starts soon. Not right now. It starts in 11-ish minutes. Yeah, 11, 12 minutes. But I'm just analyzing some Mark Kelly ads. Oh, okay, now we have 5 viewers. I have to, yeah.
Be impossible to
But I
bring.
think this is the best Mark Kelly ad. It's talking about, independents, and some very moderate Republicans could be appealed by this ad, talking about partisan Washington, and also just like saying stuff that most people would support, like that improving border security. That is a pretty good point in my opinion. I think that is a good thing because Mark Kelly obviously is being attacked a lot about immigration a lot, and so that is I feel like that could help people feel more safe about voting for Mark Kelly and about immigration. He's strengthened that. Of course, people will want to support that. But this is just a good ad. It makes Mark Kelly seem like a moderate, bipartisan senator, which is a good thing for Mark Kelly. And that is a good ad in my opinion. Last one. And then, yeah.
If you didn't grow up in a house where money was tight and the bills piled up, it's hard to understand what Arizona families are going through right now. I remember my mom sitting at our kitchen table, all these papers scattered around, and she was having to make decisions about what bill to pay. We were always making choices about what we could do, what we could purchase, what bills could be paid. And that's when you come to this realization that your family is living paycheck to paycheck. So I started working as soon as I could, first delivering newspapers and then cleaning floors at the local Dairy Queen. So yeah, we didn't have much, but my parents taught us how to work hard. And that served me my entire life, from the Merchant Marine Academy to flying in combat in the Navy and commanding the space shuttle. I know Arizona families are working hard to get by right now, and that's why I won't give up on getting our economy back on track and lowering everyday costs, because too many politicians in Washington have no idea what it's like to wait for that next paycheck. I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
This is a good ad. Let's talk about his personal experience. So that is bringing a lot of personality to him. Also, paycheck to paycheck, Arizona. I think that would be a popular message in Arizona. Maybe because of Social Security. It's not. Never mind. That was a bad point. But I feel like, except for this one, all the ads that I've played have mentions about, like, okay, Frank here.
We've been in the
Yeah, hi, Frank. We already seen you. Frank was a Republican all his life, voted for Mark Kelly, first Democrat he voted for. Again, this guy,
I'm
mayor
the mayor.
of Mesa, Arizona, a Republican, supporting Mark Kelly. And then Arizona priorities, Mark Kelly is talking about being moderate. And a lot of these, not moderate, also bipartisan in these ads, a lot of these ads are talking, and I feel like trying to appeal to a lot of moderate Republican voters, in my opinion. I feel like that is a smart move. And I'm glad Mark Kelly is not talking about abortion too much. People are always saying Mark Kelly's main issue is abortion. It's not abortion. Abortion is not like, it's not.
I'm the mayor of Mesa and a Republican. The last few years have been
He should not ignore the issue of abortion entirely, but I feel like making it a center point in Arizona, a more moderate state, is not the best choice. If we're talking about some maybe more democratic states, abortion is a very good thing to talk about to appeal to voters. But if we're talking about, like, I don't know, Michigan or something, which is not really, it's a democratic leaning state, abortion is a good issue to talk about. We're talking about Arizona, which is in the past has supported Republicans for such a long time. I feel like that is a good strategy. We'll watch one more ad. Let's see if there's any ads about abortion. Yeah, there's not any ads about abortion. I know so many people saying Mark Kelly's main issue is talking about abortion. That's not true at all. There's no ads, no videos at all about that. It's just common ads talking about a lot of stuff except abortion. And I think that's smart. We're going to watch this one, and that'll be it for now.
Even when gas prices go up, Arizonans still have to get to work, take their kids to school, make it to that doctor's appointment. But as families struggle, oil companies are earning record profits. When corporations take advantage of a crisis, that's price gouging, and it's wrong. So I'm leading the fight to hold companies accountable, increase domestic oil production, and cut the federal gas tax. I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message because Arizonans can't afford corporate greed.
This is a good ad. Mark Kelly is trying to make himself look like a working class warrior, which when Democrats campaign on that, that's a good thing. Because really, I feel like campaigning on being a working class politician, it appeals to so much people. It makes the Hispanic working class, the white working class, the young black voters too. They feel like they're doing something that's changing their lives and actually is helping them in Washington. And obviously, I feel like that's going to help Mark Kelly. He's not talking a lot about Blake Masters though. He needs to start maybe doing some attacks. Obviously not overwhelming. But I feel like Mark Kelly is running better ads than Blake Masters. I do think Blake Masters ads are decent. I just feel like Mark Kelly has more variety in his ads, talks about more, and it really just is really like making himself seem more moderate than Blake Masters. I'm not saying Blake Masters is an extremist, where I'm not gonna say that, but he's not saying it, But he's just acting like one. Okay, now ads are over. This debate is starting very soon. I'm gonna mute myself. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. No attack ads. Like 15% of a campaign should be attacks, I guess. 'Cause you don't want to like not talk about your opponent at all, while your opponent talks about you. Maybe. That's just not good. But no attack ads overall, I agree, is not good. But I feel like Mark Kelly should do it a little more. Okay. We have one viewer. Oh no, crap. But now it is starting super soon. I'm pretty hyped for this. First debate for the Senate elections. Also, I forgot. Red Ohio elections is the whatchamacallit. Wait. Did the debate already happen or is it going on right now? Grassley's kind of base. My favorite Republican senator. Not gonna lie. It says well, I only have one viewer. Is that correct? Okay. It says I have 2 viewers now. Tell me if that's correct. And also tell me if the audio is right, because I do not want you guys not to hear the thing going on right now. Like the debates start. Oh yeah, the one I asked him about. Yeah, tell me guys in the comments if we should watch if we should watch it after this one, because I might do that. Okay. We'll probably get more viewers starting on. Okay. 1 minute, guys. This is happening. If I'm this excited for the debates, how I'm excited, I'm going to actually probably have 5 heart attacks just thinking about the election night right now. It's like, what, 30 days? Okay. But I'm not going to be... But, okay. Yes. PMS. Let's go. How much days until the midterms, I wonder? Okay, it's starting now, I think. Guys, okay. Everybody vote in the poll. And then we'll see the results at the end of the stream. And also, please talk in the chat as much as you can. So, yeah. But I'll be muted, and if I have something to say, I will comment on that. I'm going to post on Twitter. Guys, could you please share the stream, please? I would really appreciate that. Okay. Here is the link. Okay, so it should start any second. Okay. Is it? I'm gonna reload my page just in case. Okay, it's supposed to start like right now. Everybody's talking about Mark Kelly's ears, guys. I don't care about inflation. I don't care about border security. I don't care about anything. The only issue I care about this election is Mark Kelly's ears. I just can't vote for somebody with elf ears. No one cares. Mark Victor. I honestly never heard of Mark Victor. Okay. Guys, please don't leave the stream. Please stay. Please stay. Okay, it's supposed to start like very soon. Victor sweep. Mark Kelly. Blake Masters is... I'm going to troll the chat, guys. I'm gonna troll. Blake Masters is the worst candidate. I love trolling. I have a lot of troll accounts. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, Mark Kelly. Oops, sorry, do that one. Why is it not starting? Minnesota predictions, Herschel Walker. Mark Kelly is winning by 8 points. Every Arizonan, I'm gonna be like Wyatt Tomlin. Every Arizonan wants the right to abortion. Okay, let's see everybody's response to that. Okay, please start. Come on. Fetterman, okay. I'm so hyped. I'm super hyped. Okay. Come on, start. I want people to start getting off. Oh, I'm not trying to see the Mark Kelly ad. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Okay, guys, tell me in the chat right now. Okay, we lost a viewer. We lost one viewer, guys. Oh, come on. Come on, don't lose viewers, people. Okay. Please, guys, say in the chat who you think is gonna win.
Scott Jensen
Miles.
is gonna lose.
Miles, we're not even talking about Scott Jensen, Miles. Be
I'm
quiet.
joking. Scott Jensen's gonna lose.
Oh,
Alright.
okay. This one isn't working. Did it start already? Oh, crud. Did this happen with, like, something else, too? Oh, it's live right now. Okay, guys, we're watching this one instead.
Through the red tape and get things done for Arizona.
Okay.
Now we have more.
Dang it, it already started. I'm so
families
sorry,
who are
guys.
struggling and often can't afford gas or prescription medication. So I worked with Republicans
He's not.
to bring manufacturing back to America to cut costs. And when Democrats are wrong, like on the border, I call them out on it. Because
Very
Americans
good.
stick up
Very good
for
message.
Arizona. Blake Masters, my opponent, on the other hand,
Oh.
has some beliefs that are just
That was a very good.
dangerous for Arizonans.
Very good.
He celebrated when Arizona enacted an abortion ban. And he wants to privatize your Social Security, sending your
So,
savings to Wall
Arizona
Street.
has old people.
So, Ted, this is an important conversation.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's get things started. Senator, we'll start with you. Inflation is at generational highs, could be going even higher considering OPEC's actions here this week regarding the crude production. Why are consumer prices so high? What have you done to address this issue?
Yeah, first of all, Ted, let me start by saying, as a kid, I remember my mom sitting at the kitchen table, with all the bills spread out with one of those giant calculators, trying to figure out, what bill is she going to pay? And it was really challenging for her. In that period of time, she could only put about $2 of gas in the car, at the time. So I know what people are going through, and I know it's hard. That's why I've worked to cut costs. Hey, when the Biden administration refused to increase oil and gas production, I told him he was wrong. And when prescription drugs are just skyrocketed and seniors can't afford it, I stood up to big pharma to cut costs. Now, my opponent, Blake Masters, I mean, the issue we have here is that this issue affects seniors more than anybody else, seniors that are on a fixed income. And my opponent, you know, he wants to privatize Social Security. He said private accounts sending your earnings to Wall Street. I met this older gentleman in Parker not too long ago, and he came up to me and he said, hey, please do not take away my Social Security. I don't know what I will do. For however long I'm in the United States Senate, I'm going to protect your Social Security and Medicare. My opponent said he wants to cut the knot and privatize your Social Security, sending your hard-earned dollars to Wall Street.
Blake Masters, 90 seconds. We're talking inflation here. Why is inflation? Why are consumer prices so high, and what would you do about it?
Okay, that was okay.
Let's be clear, the greatest threat
This
to
is like
seniors' retirement today is the massive crushing inflation that Joe Biden and Mark Kelly caused. And it's their fault. They caused it. 2 years ago, inflation was 1.5%. Now, in the greater Phoenix metro area, we are suffering from literally the worst inflation in the nation at 13%. Joe Biden's policies caused this, and those are policies that Mark Kelly in Washington has supported every single time. So look, first, they declared war on oil and gas. Well, what did they think was going to happen? When you declare war on oil and gas in a country that is still mostly powered by oil and gas, you think that's going to send the price of energy to the moon? Well, yeah, it did. They took gas from $2 to $6. Now they want a prize because it's back in the $5. No, when you make energy too expensive, well, everything you need to live takes energy to make or to move. You make energy expensive, you get some inflation. That was the left hook. Well, the Democrats weren't done. Then they decided to print $6 trillion. They print and spent $6 trillion too quickly. The normal person understands that. PhD economists don't, apparently. Senators don't. But when you print $1 trillion, that makes every dollar in your wallet worth less and less. It sends prices at the supermarket skyrocketing. So no, they caused this crushing inflation, and it is ruining people's lives. I had parents come up to me 2 weeks ago at a campaign event. They said, Blake, we don't eat breakfast anymore. We drink coffee. We drink coffee so that we can afford to feed our kids breakfast. And that's on you, sir. This is the Joe Biden, Mark Kelly economy. I will put a stop to Joe Biden's crazy spending.
Mark Victor, 90 seconds. Inflation, what's going on?
Look, people are hurting right now. Inflation hurts the poor the worst. It's a tax on everything. Why is this happening?
Goofy
It's
off.
happening
Holy
because
crap.
of both the Republicans and
Look
the
at Goofy
Democrats.
off.
It's their foolish economic policies. Look, don't confuse money with wealth. They're not the same thing. Wealth, that's what's produced and what's consumed. Printing and distributing money doesn't make us richer. Doubling the money supply doesn't make us twice as rich. Printing money results in more dollars to buy the same amount of goods, and that's what raises prices. Both the Republicans and the Democrats, both of them have been recklessly printing money. It's not just this administration. It's Bush, it's Obama, it's Trump, it's Biden. They have all increased spending. They have all increased the debt. The Republicans just had control of everything. They increased spending, they increased the debt. This has been exacerbated, by the way, by forced business closings during COVID. These are probably unconstitutional, but they messed up our supply chain and it contracted the number of goods. When you print more money and throw it in the economy and you reduce the supply of goods, what you get is out of control inflation. And no, you can't just pass more spending and call it the Inflation Reduction Act and think you are going to fix inflation. You know what fixes this? Free markets. That's what raises standards of living. We need to cut taxes. We need to cut spending. We need to cut regulation. We're stealing from future generations. It's obscene, it's immoral, and it needs to stop.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. Mark Kelly, it sounds as if 45 seconds now for rebuttal from what you've heard. I heard that you caused this.
Well, 2.5 years ago, we went through something unprecedented. You know, COVID-19. Schools had to shut down. Businesses shut down. Across Arizona, we have 500,000 small businesses. You know, sometimes the federal government has to step in to save small business. You know, they have to step in to protect livelihoods. You know, my office, folks that work for me, we're very active in helping small businesses like Tres Leches Cafe in Phoenix stay open, or Naughton's in Tucson. We've got to get our debt and deficit under control. That's why in the Inflation Reduction Act reduces the deficit by hundreds of billions of dollars. At the same time, I was able to stand up to Big Pharma and cut the prescription drug costs for seniors, capping it at $2,000 a year, spread out over the year. This is something my opponent, Blake Masters, has opposed. Seniors are struggling. Social Security and prescription drugs hits them harder than anybody else.
Okay.
And my opponent, Blake Masters, wants to privatize their Social Security, sending that money to what?
We got 45 seconds here. The idea of printing money, you mentioned that. Was money, did we not need money to be printed considering the COVID pandemic that we were dealing with? That's what I'm hearing here.
Joe Biden is spending like a drunken sailor, and at every single opportunity, Mark Kelly just says yes. He can't say no to Chuck Schumer. He can't say no to Joe Biden. At least Senator Sinema stopped Build Back Better. My gosh, you were ready to vote for that. That would have just ruined our economy even worse. I know Senator Sinema caved on the Inflation Reduction Act, and I'm mad at her for that. But hey, isn't it interesting that you had to wonder which way she was going to vote? You never have to wonder which way Senator Kelly is going to vote, because any spending bill that Biden puts in front of him, he will sign. So yeah, we got the Inflation Reduction Act, and Mark Kelly was the deciding vote. He hired 87,000 new IRS agents. Mark Kelly voted to send stimulus checks to illegal aliens. He voted to send stimulus checks to, get this, violent felons sitting in jail. Is that a good use of taxpayer money? I don't think so. Think about that the next time you go to the grocery store and you can't afford to buy steak or eggs.
Let me get a quick response to that.
That's not true.
Which part?
Well, and a lot of it, but the IRS part, we need folks in government to go after big businesses and the wealthiest Americans who try to cheat on their taxes, that have armies of accountants and lawyers. That's the intention, here, because if we can't collect taxes from the wealthiest Americans and the largest corporations that are cheating on their taxes, you know who pays? Middle-class Americans pay.
He said it himself. He wants $87,000
IRS. Hold on for just a second. You're gonna get a second. Hold on. So relax. So
yeah, relax,
what he is proposing is a system that, the little guy has to pay more. Middle-class Americans and working-class Americans.
That's pretty good.
We need to make sure that big business, and it's pretty obvious when you look at the background of each of us.
Okay.
With regards to things like ethics reform and corporate PAC money. I've never taken a dollar of corporate PAC money my entire time in the last campaign and in office. So I'm never going to be standing up for big businesses.
Corporate greed.
I'm going to be standing up for Arizona.
We need to stop you right there. All right. Again, response.
Can I have 45?
Yes, you do.
The people of Arizona know that those 87,000 IRS agents that you're sicking on them, they're not just going after billionaires. They're not just going after big business. They're going to be auditing you. They're going to be auditing your small businesses this time next year. Senator Kelly voted for 87,000 new IRS agents in the Inflation Reduction Act. But to do that, first he had to reject, there was an amendment. He rejected hiring 18,000 more Border Patrol agents. Mark Kelly said no to 18,000 more Border Patrol agents, but yes to 87,000 new IRS agents. That shows you what his priorities are. Mark Kelly left our southern border wide open, voted for all the trillions in spending that caused this massive inflation, and he thinks the fix is 87,000 new IRS agents. Something tells me that's not going to work out.
I want to get Mark in here for a second. Then I want to get back to you.
Thank you, Ted. I want to speak up on behalf of the drunken sailor, because drunken sailors, there's a limit to how much money a drunken sailor can spend. That isn't the problem here.
Who asked?
We don't have sound money anymore in our country. That's the reason these guys are bickering about spending more and more and more money, because there is no limit to how much our government can continue to print and spend. We need to get back to sound money again so the government can't continue to have no limit on their credit card. That's the problem with our economy. There are always things to spend more money on. There will be a never-ending list. Do we want to get control on our economy? We need to get back to a free market in sound money.
Okay, Mark, go back. The idea of IRS agents over border agents.
Well, I've spent a lot of time on our southern border, and let me just say, it's a mess. It's a chaos. It's crisis after crisis. I worked in in Washington to bring more Border Patrol agents to the state of Arizona. $1 billion for staffing and security and monitoring systems. So this premise that he's taken, voting against Border Patrol agents, I've worked hard to make sure we have the money so we have more Border Patrol agents on the ground, and that's what we have today.
Respond, please.
Did you or did you not vote to reject 18,000 more Border Patrol agents in the Inflation Reduction Act passage?
Senator.
You know,
there it is right there.
There are votes that happen in DC that have nothing to do with Border Patrol agents, and it might have the title on it, and nothing happens, right? So what I have done is I got $1 billion more for Border Patrol agents, for staffing, you know, for the technical systems to monitor the border, and where they make sense to build more border barriers at the southern border.
Are you cherry picking?
That's my record, which is I've been strong on border security, and I've stood up to Democrats when they're wrong on this issue.
It sounds like
including, by the way, including the president. You know, when the president decided he was going to do something dumb on this and change the rules, that would create a bigger crisis, you know, I told him he was wrong.
Dang!
This administration multiple times, and I've got more money on the ground to increase Border Patrol staffing,
Joe Biden
technology, and where it makes sense to build more barriers.
It sounds like he says you're cherry picking here.
He voted against hiring 18,000 more Border Patrol agents and then said yes to 87,000 new IRS agents. I'm sure we're going to talk more about the border. I just want to ask one question. Sir, have you done everything in your power to secure our southern border?
I've been focused on the border since day one on this job. I'm down there all the time. I was on the phone this week just, you know, with Mayor Nichols of Yuma, Sheriff Daniels of Cochise County, talking about what more we need for Border Patrol and immigration.
That, my friends, is called evasion.
We're working to raise Border Patrol pay by 18%. I've got legislation to do that.
Blake Masters
on the border since day one.
I feel like this
with no great effect because we have a wide open southern border. So if that's the best you can do, I respectfully request you resign and let's get someone in the seat who will actually secure our border.
Washington, D.C. has failed on this issue of border security and immigration for decades. And it's been crisis after crisis. I've been focused on this since day one, you know, and I brought more resources here to the state of Arizona to deal with this issue.
Let's continue to focus on immigration. We'll go 90 seconds here. Blake, we'll start with you. Immigration reform. I hear border security mentioned a lot. You have mentioned border security. You want to secure the border. How would you know when the border is secure? How do we know when the border is secure?
Well, call me old-fashioned, but I think the correct amount of illegal immigration is 0. That's what federal law says. The problem is that Joe Biden and Mark Kelly are willfully ignoring federal law.
Okay, Mark Kelly.
Our southern border, they've given it up to the Mexican drug cartels.
No.
We had operational control 2 years ago, and now it's just a complete disaster. They incentivize people to break the law. Illegal aliens, when they come here, they're supposed to be caught and deported back to their home country or back to some other country that wants them. But no, Joe Biden and Mark Kelly, they laid out the welcome mat. This is the greatest country in the history of the world. If you invite everybody to come here, you'll create a crisis.
I think that's a big yikes.
So 5 million illegals, literally 5 million, have come here in the last 22 months. Joe Biden and Mark Kelly have welcomed them. When these people cross, they know not only will they not be deported, but they're given envelopes.
Blake Masters was probably said.
Tickets. Here's a hotel room in Scottsdale. We treat these people better than we treat our own U.S. military service members. I find that shameful. 300,000 come through every month. It's a humanitarian disaster. The women and children are raped. The men are indentured servants sold into some kind of slavery. And it's not just the people, it's the drugs, the fentanyl that's coming through. It's killing kids. We're losing 2,000 Arizonans every year.
Pretty good at tech.
This stuff is poison. It's coming right there up through the southern border.
No,
Mark
good tech
Kelly and Joe
and
Biden have not done a single thing to stop it. It is carnage. And so I think we should secure the border. That means a wall. It means doubling the size of Border Patrol. And it means let's get back to deporting people who try to break into our country, something that Mark Kelly routinely votes against.
We'll get to Mark Kelly in a second here. But Mark Victor, as far as immigration reform is concerned, walls, more border agents, what say you?
Ted, how long are we going to keep talking about this same problem? Administration after administration after administration, they're bickering about securing the border and spending money, but nobody ever gets it done. We need to get it done. I'm in favor of a comprehensive overhaul of the entire immigration policy. It doesn't have to be very confusing. We had a great immigration policy in this country in the late 1800s, early 1900s. In fact, we didn't even have a term, illegal immigration. There was just immigration. It wasn't a big deal. We welcomed immigrants to America. Most of the people who come to America, and I've been representing many of them over the last 28 years, the vast majority of them are great people. They come here to work, to pursue the American dream. But they should get nothing when they come here besides the right to peacefully pursue their happiness. Nobody has a right to live at the expense of another person. They should get no welfare or social programs at all. But we do need to immediately secure the border. Nobody has a right to aggress against anybody else, whether they're inside or outside the border. Let's try to keep the bad guys out. We should streamline the asylum process. It's ridiculous that it takes so long to get a reasonably simple hearing done. I am very pro-immigration. It's good for America. It helps our economy. We've got demographic issues as well. We need more younger workers. Can you imagine our situation? We got a huge labor shortage right now. We got lots of immigrants who want to work. We can't get a visa program so they can actually work. Let's get them to work. This is why Sheriff Hathaway in Santa Cruz County endorsed me, because I've got a plan. There is no perfect solution here, but we need a path to citizenship as well.
Okay,
I do
wait.
not
Mark
want there
Picker is kind of going
people
nuts.
And
who
that
are
is-
here and working and are law abiding. We
That-
should not be deporting.
That is time. 90 seconds, Mark Kelly. Immigration. Have you done enough as far as immigration concerns in Arizona, in the country?
You know, when I got to Washington, D.C., one of the first things I realized was that Democrats don't understand this issue. And
Okay.
Republicans just want to talk about it, and complain about it, but actually not do anything about it. They just want to politicize that. And we heard this tonight from my opponent, Blake Masters. You know, he thinks he knows better than everyone about everything. And when it comes to border security, you know, I've been focused on this. And on immigration, yes, we need comprehensive immigration reform. We have tens of thousands of dreamers
Okay.
here in the state of Arizona that are as American as my own two kids. I've got one daughter lives in Tucson. My granddaughter lives in Tucson. I think of dreamers no different. You know, my opponent, Blake Masters, on the other hand, he said he would never offer citizenship to dreamers. I think it's mean and it's fundamentally un-American. We need comprehensive immigration reform in a lot of different ways. I talk to farmers and ranchers all the time, can't get the workforce they need under the existing visa programs. And they're really struggling. I mean, you look at Yuma and the food supply issues we have down there and the workforce issues of legal immigration, legal immigrants coming across the border to work here in the state of Arizona, adding so much to our economy. But this issue gets politicized over and over again from people like my opponent, Blake Masters.
Politicizing the issue, not understanding the issue. Respond, please.
Oh, I understand it very well. I understand that Mark Kelly supports open borders.
Oh,
That's why we have
goofy.
the
Okay.
vote in the U.S. Senate.
Literally just
Joe Biden
saying,
needed his vote. Mark Kelly a year
no,
ago
Biden.
dug his
Hey,
heels in and said, Mr.
I
President,
feel like
I'm
Blake
not supporting
Masters
a
was
single
talking
thing,
about
not a single spending bill,
Biden.
not a single piece of your agenda, unless and until we get border security. Biden would have had to secure the border. Mark Kelly, if this is the result of Senator Kelly being focused on the border, my gosh, he's the most ineffective and worst senator of all time. The border's wide open. People are walking through by the hundreds of thousands. You know, if the Mexican drug cartels, these terrorist narcos, if they could vote in this election, every single one of them would vote for Senator Kelly because they get what they want from him, which is a complete wide open border. It's complete free reign. And again, the fentanyl is killing our children. He's not doing a gosh darn thing to stop it.
Respond,
Yeah,
please.
the
Oh my
fentanyl
goodness,
is out of control,
okay.
and it's heartbreaking. And I've spent a lot of time down there on like Nogales and Yuma and Douglas. The head of CBP is Lupe Ramirez. And we've talked extensively about this. And he showed, you know, he's
feel like
talked about how
Blake
this
Masters
gets smuggled
attacks right
to
now are
ports of entry
really
really early in my term in the Senate. So you know what I did? Went back to Washington, and I got the money appropriated to rebuild our ports of entry. You know why? Because right now, if you go down there, it's 12 lanes in Nogales as an example. Only one of those lanes has the technology, the X-ray machine, that can detect the fentanyl. When we rebuild these ports of entry, because of the work I've done in the United States Senate and getting this money to Arizona, every single one of those lanes will have the technology. But the only way you can do this is through bipartisanship. And it's working together, working across the aisle to get things done like John McCain did. You know, my opponent, Blake Masters, he doesn't want to work with anybody. He doesn't even want to work with Republicans. You know, he calls Democrats psychopaths and that they're evil. That's not been the spirit of how Arizona senators work to the benefit of our state and our country.
Time on that, but I need a response from you on the idea of working with Democrats, on cooperating across the aisle.
Okay.
You might be able to work with Democrats like Sinema, Democrats like Joe Manchin. You can't work with Democrats like Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, Mark Kelly. There's something very wrong with people who don't want to enforce federal law, who don't believe in borders. Apparently, they don't believe in our national sovereignty.
Hey, Blake
They've run
Masters
over the
is saying
entire border zone to Mexican drug cartels, and it is killing people. It is killing Arizonans.
That's
It's
what I'm.
ruining our state.
I know
It's
about
ruining our
borders.
country.
Excited.
He's not doing a darn thing to stop it. And the Border Patrol understands this. Go ask a Border Patrol agent what they think of Mark Kelly. 90% of them will tell you they're disgusted by what he's failed to do. That's why the National Border Patrol Council endorsed me. The Arizona Police Association endorsed me. It's time to get back to law and order. Let's just even try. It'd be bad enough if they were trying to enforce federal law and failing, but they've just surrendered. They've thrown their hands up and thrown our southern border wide open. It's killing people. I'm sick of it.
45 seconds, Mark Victor. Is the border open right now?
Mark
Has it
Victor's
been
getting
turned
so
over
much
to
airtime.
ourselves?
Holy
Of course, the
crap.
border is open right now and people can come through. There's no question about that. But the answer here is we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Yes, we can secure the border. We need to secure the border. Doesn't mean we have to build a wall. There may be other ways we can secure the border. Let's get a handle on who's coming in. But then let's let people in who aren't here for bad purposes. Let's welcome them. We are a nation of immigrants. We have a demographic problem right now. We need more younger workers. And also, just a quick point on civility. We need to get back to civility. We shouldn't be calling each other names and arguing across.
Mark
I agree with
Victor
what
is
Senator
getting
Kelly
too
said
much
here.
time.
We need to work together. People who disagree still can be agreeable. Let's sit down and have an exchange of ideas and speak like gentlemen rather than arguing and calling each other names like kids in a sandbox.
All right. I want to move to abortion. Senator Kelly, we'll start with you. Would you codify Roe v. Wade?
Of course. Let me be perfectly clear. Arizona women have totally lost
Mark,
the right to make a
don't
decision
frick this up.
about abortion. It's devastating. It's wrong. It's exactly what my opponent, Blake Masters, wants. Blake Masters has called abortion demonic, religious sacrifice. He's even said that he wants to punish the doctors. He wants a national abortion ban that's so strict that even in the case when a woman is raped, she will not have the option to make this decision. Now, in a second, he's going to tell you that this isn't true. But folks, this is true. These are his words. He has supported state and national abortion bans that will deny the right for a woman to make this decision by themselves. And that's what it's about for Blake. I mean, he's only saying this now, and he's probably going to tell you something totally different. And it's only because he's trying to win an election. But that's what it's about for him. You know, he thinks that he should make these decisions for you. He thinks he gets to make these choices instead of you.
Blake Masters, 90 seconds here regarding a federal ban on abortion, codifying Roe v. Wade. Where do you stand?
I'm pro-life, and
You
that
don't
means
say
I
so.
believe in limits. Now, I support exceptions because
Only
I
30
don't
minutes.
believe in being extreme on this issue. Senator Mark Kelly is the abortion radical. Senator Kelly in Washington, he voted, actually he sponsored, he didn't just vote for it, he sponsored a bill that would have mandated legal abortion nationwide, get this, up until the moment of birth. Take a second to think about how truly radical that is. Mark Kelly says any abortion is okay for any reason, all the way up until the moment a baby is due to be born. He wasn't the only radical who voted for that bill. He was joined by Elizabeth Warren, by Bernie Sanders. AOC voted for this in the House. And the only countries in the whole
really?
world that support Senator Kelly's
Scaring me a
preferred
little bit.
no limits extreme abortion policy are China and North Korea. So no, I'm pro-life. I believe in limits. I think we should be more like, I don't know, how about every other civilized country in the world? Just last year, Arizona passed a law that limits abortions after 15 weeks. I support that law. That's where Arizonans find a reasonable place to draw the line. I support limits at the federal level too. Senator Lindsey Graham has proposed a 15-week bill with the common exceptions, and I support that. I believe in limits. Mark Kelly believes in no limits at all. I understand why he wants to lie about my position, because his own, which is on the record, he sponsored that legislation up until birth. That is so truly radical. 80% of Arizonans are disgusted by that. So I'm going to represent the vast majority of Arizonans on this issue. He's proven that he can't.
Need a response.
It's nonsense. And what he's saying is absolutely not true. I've always been clear on this. I support the restrictions and the protections that were allowed under Roe v. Wade. And abortion only happens, very late in pregnancy when there are serious issues. And folks, it's heartbreaking when this happens. And often the child is wanted. But my opponent, remember what he has said. I mean, he supports a national abortion ban.
I just told you I didn't.
Criminalizes, you're going to get your chance, that criminalizes this decision. He has said, and this isn't like years ago, he has said very recently that he wants to punish the doctors. He's called abortion demonic, a religious sacrifice. I don't even know what that means, folks. But what I'm doing is I am protecting your constitutional rights that you have lost because of rhetoric like this.
But real quickly, where do you draw the line on late-term abortions?
Well, under Roe v. Wade, there were protections and there were restrictions that were allowed under that law. And late-term abortion in this country only happens when there is a serious problem. And, that's what I support. And what he says about the legislation that I voted on is just not true. And it's nonsense. And he should go back and take a look.
Okay, so I've seen a little more
He's a lawyer.
Mark Kelly, a little bit more.
He can go take a look at
He's
it.
not as
You have said that you once espoused the
charisma's getting a little better.
law. This is a quote from you: unqualifiedly pro-life from conception, and that it has been noticed that some of these more strident positions were taken off of your website. Some say that you scrubbed them from your website. What's going on with that?
I encourage people to go read my website now. It is still the most pro-life, most detailed agenda of any Senate candidate running nationwide. I'm pro-life. I'm proud to be pro-life. I will never run from that.
From conception?
I'm pro-life as a matter of conscience. I just told you what I believe the law should be. Right? In Arizona, as a voter, I support the 15-week law with all the exceptions. I believe in federal limits. I believe at a certain point, everybody of good conscience knows at 5 months, 6 months, my gosh, 7 months, that is a baby. And we shouldn't be killing babies for no reason when they can survive outside the womb. And that's not what his legislation did. They said they were trying to codify Roe. No, it was so much more extreme than that. They wanted to impose legal abortion nationwide up until the moment of birth. And that is way too radical. That's not what Arizonans want. Common sense limits. Arizona has said 15 weeks makes sense. I think that makes sense.
And before we get to Mark Victor, real quickly, have you always supported the 15-week limit?
Well, Arizona just passed the law last year, and Senator Graham just introduced the bill last month.
Right. But my question is, have you always supported that kind of...
I couldn't support a bill 9 months ago if it was just introduced last month.
It's not the bill, it's the limit. Have you always
okay,
that
like
limit?
Masters is kind of getting...
That kind of limit.
I believe Arizona's got the right to make its laws. That's the whole point of reversing Roe versus Wade. And I believe in a federal backstop. I think at the federal level, we should not be allowing late-term partial birth abortion all the way up until the moment of birth, and except for to save the life of the mother. I believe in limits. Mark Kelly doesn't, and that's the choice that Arizonans face in this issue.
Mark Victor, please.
Ted, this evasiveness from Blake Masters is exactly why you should have a principle and stick with it. You asked him specifically.
It's abortion
his
issues.
website, and he said, you can go to my website now and look at it. That's evasion. That's an answer that, yes, I'm not anchored in principle. I'm anchored in principle. My positions have been exactly the same for 30 years. Look, it doesn't matter It doesn't matter what my personal position is on abortion, and I'm not going to tell you. We need a policy that recognizes that reasonable minds disagree on this issue. People disagree. There isn't an objectively right answer. And these politicians offer no special wisdom at all. This is why a one-size-fits-all solution is a terrible idea. We're going to be fighting about it forever. Congress should stay out of it.
Okay, so
I'm in favor.
I'm just not. I'm just gonna talk over this guy because
because
nobody cares about
the
it.
smallest
To be
jurisdictions.
honest.
That's right.
But
Mesa should pass a law
I feel like
that
so right
the
now
people in
with the
Mesa
economy, it was a
and the
topic.
people in Tempe should
Mark
pass a
Kelly
law
barely moved
that
food
the people
control,
in Tempe
and now Blake Masters is really
Abortion should
doing
never,
very well.
anywhere, under any circumstances, be outlawed in the case of rape or in the case of health of the mother. We don't have enough time to get into this, but I've written extensively on this and many other issues on my website. Regarding
My
abortions
dog.
after viability, if we can keep the baby alive, we should. It's a win for the baby. It's a win for the pregnant woman. It's a win for the adoptive parents. There is no perfect solution here. We're going to be fighting about it forever. We need the best solution to get past it, and that's put it in the smallest jurisdictions. Let's stop fighting and let's move on.
Let's talk about smaller jurisdictions.
be honest,
Should
with a four-party
abortion
person.
laws be at the state level and not the federal level?
No, I think there should be a national law that protects the rights that women have to make this decision between them and their doctor. Let me be really clear about something you asked about, which was the personhood amendment. Now, folks, this is code. This is code for throwing women into jail. And that's what my opponent supports. Now, I think we all know guys like this. You know, guys that think they know better than everyone about everything. You know, you think you know better than women and doctors about abortion. You even think you know better than seniors about Social Security. And you think you know better than veterans about how to win a war. Folks, we all know guys like this. We can't be letting them make decisions about us because it's just dangerous.
Respond, please.
I think states should decide, let the state legislatures wrestle with the tough question of how to regulate abortion early on. Texas is going to make slightly different decisions than California. It's going to make different decisions than Arizona. But I believe in a federal backstop. I don't think we should let California or Oregon let Planned Parenthood go in at 8 months and 30 days and sever spinal cords and dismember babies that his policy would allow. Unlimited abortion up until the moment of birth. He still can't articulate a clear limit. I believe in limits. Arizona has said 15 weeks is a reasonable place to draw the limit, and I agree.
I got to get a response to that, please.
Yeah, so, I mean, the protections and restrictions that were allowed under Roe v. Wade was the law of the land for over a century, or for 50 years. But what we have now here in the state of Arizona is a law from 1864. And it's exactly what my opponent, Blake Masters, wants.
But have you supported 6, 7, 8 month viability?
I have supported Roe v. Wade. You know, went into effect in 1973. This is a hard decision for women. This decision should be up to the woman with her doctor. Shouldn't be politicians like the guy to my left in Washington, D.C. making these decisions for you. I mean, he thinks he knows better than you. He thinks he knows better than doctors and women on abortion. I mean, folks, I think that's, that is a really bad place for us to be in when my opponent, Blake Masters, is making these decisions for women.
All right. I want to get to the election, and Blake, we'll start with you. Is Joe Biden the legitimately elected president of the United States?
Don't you think?
Joe Biden's absolutely the president. I mean, my gosh, have you seen the gas prices lately?
Legitimately
There's no doubt. I'm not trying to trick you. He's duly sworn and certified. He's the legitimate president. He's in the White House, and unfortunately for all of us, right? Because
dang it.
Yeah, Joe Biden's the president. He has been for the last 2 years. Everything he's touched in the last 2 years.
Come on, man. I got excited for that
He's
one.
on fire, and it's Joe Biden's fault. I wish he weren't the president. He is, and that's a problem. Now, how did he get there? Okay, let's talk about that. I think it's a problem that the FBI forced Facebook. They pressured Facebook and other big tech companies to censor true information.
Oh, that's kind of bad.
on Hunter Biden's crimes
If
in the
you
weeks
said
before the
that.
2020 election. And so millions of Americans didn't get to read about that. They didn't get to read about Hunter Biden and his corrupt business dealings with China and the Ukraine. Business dealings which credibly implicated Joe Biden. And then the media lied to us about it. They said, oh, that was Russian disinformation. No, it wasn't. It was true. And so when the media is lying to people, helping big tech and apparently federal law enforcement censor information about presidential candidates, well, I think people start to worry about the integrity of their elections. And we need to do so much better. I believe in election day,
Wait, what?
not election season. In Brazil,
I don't know.
the presidential election, I think
I don't know.
Sunday,
Wait, guys.
they counted the votes, and we got to know who won that night. And here's another thing I believe that Mark Kelly doesn't. I believe in universal voter ID. Call me old-fashioned. I think that if you want to cast a vote in Arizona or America, you should have to show an ID. That's common sense. And I'll stand up for common sense election integrity every single time.
I need to follow up quickly. Was that election stolen? Was it rigged in any way, shape, or form enough to keep Donald Trump out of the White House?
I suspect that if the FBI didn't work with big tech and big media to censor the Hunter Biden crime story, yeah, I suspect that changed a lot of people's votes. I suspect President Trump will be in the White House today if big tech and big media and the FBI didn't work together to put the thumb on the scale to get Joe Biden in there.
But not vote counting, not election results.
Yeah, I haven't seen evidence of that, but I'm telling you what I think the problem is. I think the problem is big tech, big media working together.
Right. Okay.
I think that's a problem.
Okay.
I challenge Mark Kelly to say that's a problem.
We will in just a second. Mark?
Boy, for a guy who's never been elected before, he sure sounds like a politician to me. I'll answer the question. Joe Biden won the election. I wish they both could have lost.
Well, dang it. Okay.
Somebody
First,
up
I
there
thought
could have done something different.
But
But look, this is an easy one. All people of good faith want a free, fair, accurate, open election. And we all want only people who are authorized to vote to actually vote. I have no problems at all with reasonable requirements to vote. You should be able to get an ID. They're free. If you can't get an ID, maybe you shouldn't be voting. That's not a big deal. But I am against unduly burdensome requirements that are calculated to make it harder for people who should be allowed to vote to actually vote. But all of this is missing the big issue, Ted. This is not our problem. Our big problem with voting is that everything is up for a vote today. I don't want anybody telling me how I should use my body, my property, my money, in my time. None of that should be up for a vote. And I don't want to tell any of you how to use your body, property, money, or time. We are a constitutional republic, not an unrestricted democracy. Today, everything is up for a vote. Very little should be up for a vote. Like, for example, who should represent the good people of the state of Arizona. That should be up for a vote. What should the age of consent be? This is something that reasonable minds disagree on. That should be up for a vote. But everything else that we are voting on that has anything to do with your body, your property, your money, your time, that's what freedom is about, folks. None of that should be up for a vote.
Mark Kelly, are there serious concerns over Arizona's election process, over the country's election process that were exposed in 2020?
Ted, let me start by saying the only reason that we're having this conversation is because my opponent, Blake Masters, put out a video questioning who won the presidential election here in the state of Arizona. That election, let's go back to 2020, that was certified by Democrats and Republicans. Now, I'm with our governor on this, Doug Ducey, who says we do elections well in Arizona. And we do. 80% of Arizonans vote by mail. My opponent, Blake Masters, he just said he wants to take that away from you. Early in my Navy career, I was in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and I was able to vote in a presidential election. Not a lot of countries you can do that. He wants to make that an impossibility for our Arizona veterans.
That's ridiculous.
Do you know how many veterans, how many people on active duty and veterans wind up getting deployed overseas? And that option would go away in his plan to just vote on election day. He mentioned voter ID. I'm okay with that. These are conspiracies and lies that have no place in our democracy. I'm worried about what's going to happen here, this election in 2024. I mean, we could wind up in a situation where the wheels come off of our democracy. And it's because of folks like Blake Masters, that are questioning the integrity of an election. We do elections well in the state of Arizona, and folks, it's got to stop. I encourage you to vote. Our democracy is stronger when everybody votes. My opponent wants to make that harder for everybody.
Are you trying to make things harder for people to vote?
I want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. I want universal voter ID. He pretends to be okay with it. He wouldn't actually support it if it came to a vote in the United States Senate. Look, of course I support absentee ballots for military service members. It's ridiculous and just a flat-out, bald-faced lie to suggest that I don't. It's totally fine. I'm just saying, can we please count the votes and know who won on election day like a first world country? Brazil can do it. So I think we should demand no less in the United States of America. But you notice he didn't talk about the FBI working with big tech, working with the media to suppress, to censor true information about Hunter Biden's crimes, corrupt business dealings, China, Ukraine. They implicated Joe Biden. But that was all pushed under the rug. Millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people in Arizona didn't get to hear about that. I strongly suspect that changed the results of the election. And unfortunately for the whole country, because look how bad we're suffering after 2 years of Joe Biden and Mark Kelly.
Was it a question more of information not getting out or complaints that the election process itself is, quote, rigged and allows for cheating?
We had multiple audits of the election here in Arizona in 2020. We had a partisan audit. What did they find? It was accurate. I find it interesting that my opponent, Blake Masters, is standing up for veterans here for a second, because, what I've heard during the last, year or so is just insulting to veterans. It's kind of insulting, let me just say. Saying our military is totally incompetent, saying there's rot in the military, saying things like, we haven't been in a just war since before World War II. Folks, let me tell you what he's talking about here. He's saying that World War II was unjust. We had hundreds of thousands of Americans die in that war. And I just find it pretty insulting. We've got about 500,000 veterans here in the state of Arizona. Many of them, vote by mail. We've got 80% of Arizonans vote by mail. I imagine my opponent, Blake Masters, has voted by mail. And now he wants to take that away from us because he wants fewer people to vote. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Do you want to take away vote by mail?
No.
And hard stop, huh?
I never said I did. No,
where's the
look, some
disconnect?
people have good reasons to vote by mail. If you're on an aircraft carrier in the Indian Ocean, that sounds like a pretty good reason for an absentee ballot, right?
What about a suburban housewife?
I'd be okay with that if she enclosed a copy of her driver's license. I think that if you want to cast a vote by mail, you should at least include a copy of your driver's license.
What do you think, Mark?
We've been doing this for 20 years in the state of Arizona.
That's a no, by the way.
This has been it's absolutely a no. 80% of Arizonans vote by mail. This has been challenged in the courts. We have a stronger democracy when more people vote. We had a lot of people. We had a lot of people turn out in the last election. Highest turnout ever in the last election.
Okay.
Our governor, Doug Ducey, says we do elections well. These elections were audited and they were certified by Democrats and Republicans. But conspiracy theories, like the one he's peddling, is dangerous to our democracy, folks. I mean, we're on the verge of the wheels coming off of this thing. We've got to get back to a better place.
All right, you want to talk about the military aspect of this?
Yes, there's a reason 57% of the veterans in Arizona are supporting me right now. 72% of active duty military service members right now in Arizona are supporting me. That's what my latest internal polling says. And there's a reason for that.
Internal polling, guys. So accurate.
I criticize the top layer of military leadership. These very political, Obama did this, right? He purged the military of so many great generals, apolitical generals. And he elevated in their place left-wing mediocrities like General Milley. You've all seen at home General Milley testifying in front of Congress, bloviating about white rage, talking about how we need to teach our soldiers critical race theory. In the United States Navy right now, they are forcing sailors to use gender pronouns. The military is not a woke social experiment. I won't tolerate that. It should be focused on lethality and projecting force to defend America and her allies. Our service members who wear the cloth of the nation demand no less. They deserve no less. And when I'm in the Senate, I'm going to work with Tom Cotton to get rid of this wokeness. Yeah, it's a rot in so much of our military. Our troops deserve way better, and when I'm in charge, they're going to get it.
Veteran, talk to us here.
there's lots to talk about here. First of all, to say that because one general supported crazy wokeness in the military, and I certainly agree with Blake on this, this is not a place for political correctness. Our military exists to defend our country. But because one general said something ridiculous is not an indictment of the entire general officer corps throughout our military. I've had many interactions with Marine Corps officers, and I can tell you, very squared away group. I have nothing but respect for the officers that I've met in the Marine Corps. Also, General Mattis, General Kelly, people who walked away from Donald Trump and the exact same policies that Blake Masters is now promoting. These were quality generals, and they had reasons to walk away from the exact same policies.
Okay, gentlemen, we're running short on time. We've got to talk about water. And I wish we had more time to talk about this, but Senator Kelly, we'll start with you. 45 seconds. Let's start there and see how far we go. We're facing short-term, long-term cuts of Colorado River water. How do we address this issue? And it is an issue.
Yeah, it's a major issue. I mean, this is the worst drought that this part of the planet has seen in 1,000 years. It's been going on 22 years. Lake Powell and Lake Mead are at crisis low levels. And we've got to take some immediate steps. I got money from Washington to help farmers keep water up in Lake Mead. That's just a stopgap measure. We can't do this all on our own. We're one of 3 lower basin states with Nevada and California. I was on the phone recently with the California governor because they're not stepping up to help. You know, my opponent's solution to this, he wants to privatize our water. He wants to send our water rights to Wall Street. He wants to send your Social Security savings to Wall Street, but our water too. And that's not a serious
we are running
approach to this
short on time. I need a response from you and a water plan. Can you do it in a minute?
Well, I think I can. Senator Kelly recently gave a news interview where he said, "Don't worry, our water crisis in Arizona is not existential." Well, I disagree. I'm here to tell you that it is. I was shocked and dismayed a few weeks ago when the federal government cut Arizona's water allocation. 592,000 acre feet. For all you water nerds out there, that's a lot of water that the feds cut. That's our water. Guess how much California had to cut? 0. Guess what Mark Kelly did about it? Nothing. I'm tired of Senator Kelly acting like the 3rd senator from California. We need someone in there with sharp elbows who's going to fight for our water. The late John McCain called for the renegotiation of the 1922 Colorado River Compact. Let's renegotiate that. I will. But you know what? We also need technology, and I can wrap this up in 10 seconds, Ted.
Please do.
Why is California even putting its straw into the Colorado River? That water should be Arizona's. Look at a map. California is on the Pacific Ocean. The future is desalination plants powered by nuclear reactors and pipelines.
Okay.
We can solve this problem with technology and sharp elbows. I will do it because I want my boys to be able to choose to live in Arizona decades from now.
Very quickly, Mark.
Not that quick. I got a few things to say on this.
It's got to be because we're running out of time.
I've had very little time during this debate, and I'd like to give an answer on this question. But
we're not going to be able to get heard if you go too long.
Let me incorporate some things that Blake said. Blake made some very good points on this issue, and I'm going to give him credit. We got short-term and long-term solutions. I'm here to tell you about hard questions. Almost 80% of our water in this state, in the middle of the desert, goes to agriculture. Sorry, that doesn't make sense. We can put our agriculture, we can get it from places where they can more efficiently produce these goods. The market price of water should determine.
And that is it, sir. I'm sorry, but we just ran out of time. We've got to get to closing statements. And going in reverse order of our opening remarks, we'll start with Mark Kelly.
Yeah, let me just say something what my opponent said about being existential. It's not existential. We're going to solve this problem on water. I think what folks heard tonight here were starkly different views of our state and our country. On abortion, my opponent wants a national abortion ban, taking away your rights. I'm going to protect abortion. I'm going to protect your constitutional rights. On Social Security, he wants to privatize it, sending your savings to Wall Street. On issues of the military, I served in the United States Navy for 25 years. I love our military. He says some pretty insulting things about our military. We have 500,000 veterans that live in the state of Arizona. Serving in the United States Senate has been one of the highlights of my professional life, which has been all about service, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, sir. Now the closing statement from Mark Victor.
Thank you, Ted. Ted, I'm running for Senate to leave the world better than I found it. We've been on the wrong course for a long time. We have very serious problems coming. We're at a critically important time in our history. Both the Republicans and the Democrats have given us a stalemate of ineptitude. They're recycling yesterday's ideas. How long are we going to accept their failed approaches? Can't solve these problems with the same old thinking. There is a way out of this mess. Let's focus on fundamental, timeless principles. Nobody gets to force their way of life on anyone else. Let's lead and inspire people to be good humans.
Time, sir. Time, sir. That is
It still says I got 15 seconds there, Ted. I like to finish my closing
Sir,
statement.
they told us that it was over. Finally, we hear from Blake Masters.
For the past 2 years, under Joe Biden and Mark Kelly, we've been going in the wrong direction. Everybody knows it. You are less safe today. Your bills have gone way up since Mark Kelly took over. He's got a bunch of excuses. I think you heard a lot of them here tonight. You know, it's up to you to decide whether excuses are enough. But ask yourself, do you deserve a secure border? Do you deserve to feel safe when you walk outside at night? Do you deserve to be able to afford your own home if you work hard enough? I think the answer is yes. You deserve so much better than what we have. Mark Kelly disagrees. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spent 2 years backing Biden every time. Send me to the U.S. Senate if you think that you and your family deserve better so we can go in the right direction.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all for a debate. We appreciate it.
Okay, so at the end of the debate and nothing else coming on, right?
Because kids will always be more curious, Arizona PBS deliver.
Hey, you get all it now. Okay, so that was yeah, Kelly didn't do too well. Here's the thing. I've been on Twitter a lot while I was listening to the debate. I went on Twitter. Mark Kelly was not demolished. Mark Kelly was not destroyed. Mark Kelly did not do terrible. He lost the debate, and I'm going to say that right now. He lost the debate. I think he lost the debate. I feel like he had better talking points, but Blake Masters was more confident, and yeah, he was more confident, and he just was more. He looked better, and he wasn't like stuttering. I feel like Mark Kelly had better talking points.
You have a thesis tomorrow.
But I do believe Mark Kelly sadly lost the debate. And I feel like, we're still, Mark Kelly, I'm going to change my rating. I'm going to change the rating right now to tilt Democratic to, I'm going to change it to tilt Democratic right now to a toss-up. I feel like I'll be on the stream for a little more. Nobody's watching, but yeah, we did not do that bad. We are not gonna, we did not do terrible. That's my thing. I'm going to highlight. We did not do terrible. So I feel like Blake Masters won, and this will help him. I don't think by much, in my opinion. But yeah, let's give some people on the stream. Giga Chat, amazing. No, that's.
Do we need uniform for the feast?
Yeah. You have to wear your uniform, except for the house that wants a twist cannot wear a uniform.
Didn't they already have their feast?
Hmm?
They already had their feast.
No, they didn't. Oh, Twist did, yeah, but that was only for them. And everybody has their feast. No, not everybody has a feast. No, the only person that wins the tournament has a feast in September. It's only that month. Yeah, just that month.
Did they get another feast?
Everybody gets a feast today. I mean, tomorrow.
So they got 2 feasts, right?
Okay, I'm back, guys.
Exit the freaking game out. Shut up, Marcus. Nobody cares about your stream.